right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our yin yoga class. Please make sure you have a blanket or beach towel, maybe a couple of pillows, perhaps a couple of yoga blocks if you have that. A strap may be useful. I like to just have us started in Baddha Konasana, sitting upright, where you bring the soles of your feet together. And here, as you come into this position, if you find that your back just wants to round, the belly kind of dumps in, then grab something that you can sit on, not too high, not too low. I prefer a firm blanket because then it allows you to adjust the height of it. You can experiment with it. And if you are sitting on something, a prop, sit sort of towards the front edge of it so that it allows your pelvic bowl to slightly tilt forward. And then you can gently activate your lower belly, pressing downward to left and right sitting bones, lifting upward to the spine. And then if you find that your back is a little more upright now, notice if your thighs might need support. Perhaps using your blocks or your pillows. You'll want to have the same height under each outer thigh if you're using that support. Try to make it an easy position since this is our very first pose. You can have the feet a little further away from this so it's a little more relaxed. And then wherever you want to place your hands, whether left hand to the heart center, your chest, right hand to the lower belly, or resting your hands in your lap. If you feel comfortable to do so, maybe close your eyes and begin to gather your attention inward. Feeling into the way that your body is breathing, the way that your body is feeling. As we continue to talk about the physical practice of yoga, which makes up the third of 8 limbs of yoga, and it's called asana. Judith Lassiter, who writes for Yoga Journal, says this about asana. To truly practice it, you have to become present in the moment. You have to observe your sensations, your reactions, your sense of ease and difficulty as you stretch and bend. And this consistent willingness to be in the here and now is the basis of meditation. She says that it's ironic that most people think of asanas as the movements of yoga. Actually, asanas demand that the practitioner learn to stay still. This staying still is a powerful practice. When you learn to hold a pose, the steadiness of the body becomes a backdrop against which you can clearly see the constant movement of the mind. Just as seeking ease in your asana practice doesn't mean avoiding difficult poses. The wider practice of yoga is not about arranging your life so that it is free of challenges like bubble wrap. Rather, she didn't say the bubble wrap part, I did. Rather, it is about using the discipline you find in asana practice to remain easy in the midst of difficulty. Remember, we talked about those 2 main qualities that defines asana yesterday according to the Yoga Sutras. It's steadiness and ease. And for somebody who might be very active, whether physically or mentally, especially in such a fast-paced society, if you live in Western culture, especially here in LA, it can be a challenge to be still for longer periods of time as a yin and restorative practice entails. A little different than a 5-breath warrior 2, though that may have its own challenges. But to be in a posture a few minutes at a time, let's practice that skill of stillness, using it as a means to see more clearly the lake bed of our thoughts, the chittas vritti, the fluctuation of thoughts, as well as to bring a sense of ease into those situations so that we can bring that sense of ease off the mat into life situations. So as we hold this asana, Baddha Konasana, which means bound angle pose, just a few breaths longer. I invite you to deepen your breath. Breathing in through your nose and breathing out through your mouth. We're going to move into a very simple version of Samavriti pranayama, also called coherent breathing technique. And it's simply inhaling for a count of 6 and exhaling for a count of 6, just balancing the breath. So empty this breath. Sitting up tall, empty the shoulders. Then inhale for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. A couple more rounds on your count. And now if you're not already doing so, I invite you to close your lips if that's available for you, so that you're now just breathing through your nose, perhaps adding a soft whispering sound by gently narrowing the back of your throat to ease into what's called Ujjayi pranayama, or victorious breathing technique. With the patience of really sustaining your breath and balancing it in and out, help to cultivate the still of observing and being still as we hold these yin poses. Let's take 2 more deep breaths here. And once you fully empty this breath, let's join the palms to meet at the heart. Perhaps you have an intention you'd like to set for your practice today, or a dedication of the fruits of your efforts. And co-creating this community space as we practice, even if you're watching the recording. Let's join our voices in one chant of Om. Take a deep breath. Breathing in, breathing out through the nose. Continuing with sustaining your breath equally again, perhaps Ujjayi pranayama. And then let's softly open the eyes, relax the arms, bring your thighs up so that your feet can set on the floor. Come on down to hands and knees, and we'll begin with some gentle movements before we hold still and some other postures. Preparing for a few rounds of Betalasana or cat-cow. Set your knees a couple inches behind your hips. Have your wrists just under your shoulders. You can decide how you want to arrange your hands. If you want an inner wrist stretch, you could spin your fingertips out to the sides or towards your knees. If you want an outer wrist stretch, you could flip one palm to face up, maybe both at the same time if that works for you. Now to enter cow pose, inhale, glide your chest through your upper arms, peel your shoulders back, looking up as you lift your tailbone. To enter cat pose, contract your belly as you exhale, tucking the tailbone under and dropping your skull to round your back. Continue a few more cycles. Inhale, lengthen the chest forward, then tilt it up, shoulder softening down. Exhale, rounding as you contract your belly. And then know that if there's any other movement you need to insert that your body is just whispering for, you always have that freedom, as well as being still. That's always an option. Remembering that all my cues here are suggestions for how you might tailor your own practice. being the direct experiencer of your own yoga. Now play with some other organic movements if you haven't already, like letting the pelvis sway left and right. Perhaps as the pelvis sways to the right, you look over your right shoulder, a little contraction of the right side body. And as the pelvis sways to the left, you might look over the left shoulder. So as you contract one side of the torso, the opposite side lengthens. And also giving your neck a gentle movement. Let the sound of your breath lead and help to culminate each movement. Perhaps you sink into child's pose momentarily, or take it through child's pose into lateral circles, coming forward to shift onto your wrists again, and then back into child's pose. So experiment for about 7 more breaths of any ways your body just needs to shift energy flow. Any areas of tension or stagnation that need a little bit of movement, a little bit of shake. Finishing one more cycle of breath. Let's begin to stand with the feet about mat width, the narrowest width of the mat, in a forward fold in which you might have pillows or blocks in front of you. You can arrange the blocks so they become sort of a tower on which to lean. The top of your forehead, like the hairline area, so that you don't feel any compression in the neck. It's a very light lean. And then the feet are parallel, bending the knees, really helping to relax the spine as much as possible with just a gentle support for your head. Some of you might opt for no support of your head and just give a little movement, maybe catching opposite elbows and swaying your spine like a soft pendulum. Either way, just make sure that you are bending your knees a sufficient amount to allow a sense of release throughout your back, through your neck. And as you're letting your skull become heavy, just releasing downward, can you invite space into your neck? Maybe shaking your head if it's not resting on something, but also by lifting your shoulder bones away from your neck. Now, if you're catching hold of opposite elbows, try switching the other elbow on top. And be here, whether you're choosing to be still right now or shifting around. Another 5 cycles of breath in this wide version of Uttanasana. So I invite you, as we really dig into the meaning of asana, physical postures, to bring your knowledge of the layers of the subtle body that we talked about. I think it was last week, maybe the week before, it all blends together. And how when we do something to our physical layer, the physical body, how it might affect our energetic layer, the pranamaya kosha, or how it might affect the mental and emotional layer, manomaya kosha. Now, as you bend your knees a lot more, put aside anything your head is resting on, so your head is now just dangling freely. You can start to walk your hands up your shins just gently, but tuck your chin towards your chest. Knees are bent. Begin to roll your spine as you take deep breath, stacking one vertebra at a time, unfolding into an upright stance. lifting your head last. Once you do, bring your feet a little closer together so they're just slightly wider than hips distance apart, but still parallel. Knees are soft, not rigid. And as you spread your toes, really feel grounding. Feel the surface under your feet. Can you spread your weight through the four corners of each foot so much that there's a lightness, a slight lift in the inner and outer arches of your feet. Your feet are not flat. And then as you root downward, start to sweep your arms up, take a deep breath, sort of feeling the space outside of your body. And then as you exhale, let your palms face down, move towards your lower belly. Just feel the energy of that motion. Inhale, sweep the arms up, gathering space around you, energy around you. And then exhale, bring that down to your belly. Navel center, navel energy center. 3 more. Inhale, arms lifting, shoulders relaxing. Look up, and then exhale, palms meet your belly. It's like you're gathering energy from the life force that's surrounding your body and bring it to your body's center. 1 more time. Inhale. Is actually one of the basic movements of Qigong, energy healing practice. And then from here, go ahead and shake out your arms. You can lift the shoulders and drop them, lift and drop, and just let that impulse release all the way down to your elbow joints, your wrist joints, finger joints. Like you could shake off any tension that might be residing here along your trapezius muscle, the neck and shoulders, and then really let your arms be loose, like noodles. Like you could shake off any of that tension to your fingertips, release it into the earth, and then begin to shake one leg out and do the same thing. Can you feel it rooted at your pelvis? And any sort of blockage of energy, you can even visualize streaming down your thigh, your knee, streaming down through your knee, through your ankle, streaming down through your toes, out to the sole of your foot, and then switch from the pelvic joint, the hip joint, soften your quadricep, your hamstring, let the glute shake, feel the knee, imagine any unnecessary tension that's living there, you're inviting it to release, to flow out to the sole of your foot. And then lifting your heels when you bring both feet to the ground, drop the heels. Lift the heels, drop the heels. Try that a few times. Remember, knees are loosely bent. And can you feel that impulse shake up all the way to the crown? Again, these are some movements from Qigong as well. Just helping to release any sort of stuckness. You can visualize it if you're a very visual person. Knots of tension, knots in energy flow, just dissipating. Take a deep breath in, stick out the tongue, open the eyes wide. 2 more lion's breath. Inhale deeply, let it go. Last time, breath in. Big exhale. And then come on down. Tuck your toes behind you as you sit on your knees. If you need some support for your knees, if they don't like to bend too much, you could take your blanket or towel, fold it to the thickness of the amount of support you may need, and place the fold right against the back of your knees. So you're here with your tucked toes, stretching the soles of your feet. You might feel a stretch in your Achilles as well. And if you're wanting a little deep tissue release for your calves, you can use that blanket sort of like a roll. You can roll it up and then bring it towards the meat of your calves. So it adds some pressure. We're going to be here for 2 minutes. Notice your breathing. Now, as we're here, let's give our arms something helpful to do for our neck. Bringing your hands behind your skull. Loosely interlace your fingers. Feel your lower belly draw in as your tailbone lengthens downward, lifting your back ribs just enough to lengthen your lower back without rigidity, and then dropping the shoulders. Start to drop your chin towards your chest. Let your elbows come closer together, stretching into the back of your neck without slumping in your lower back. Can you relax the skin on your forehead? Feel the base of your skull, the base of your neck. Letting that area unwind of any gripping that might reside there. Feel the tops of your shoulders sink a little more easily. Slow breath in. Slow breath out. Feel around the backs of your ears, tracing your jaw. Relax your jaw. One more deep breath here. And then very slowly undo your elbows, release your chin to its natural position. Let's remove any prop you were sitting on, untuck your toes. And take a moment to come back to hands and knees and gently tap the tops of your feet onto the floor like you're having a happy tantrum. Take a deep inhale, fluttering your lips as you exhale. 2 more times. Inhale, flutter your lips, let it go. Last time. And then come to sit with your legs in front of you. We're going to hold some postures a little bit longer, having one knee bent out to its side, open the opposite leg. And then here you'll want to have props on the outer side of your right, the thigh that's extended out, the straight leg. As many props as you may need, maybe even a block, you could stack that. And then placing your arm of your straight leg side onto that pillow or stack of blocks. You're gonna bend the elbow, lift through both sides of your torso. So you're trying not to contract the side that you're leaning into that straight leg with. Belly softly hugs in, resting your skull in your palm. And now the opposite arm that you're not resting on, you can reach it overhead and just rest your forearm on the top of your skull, the side of your skull. You're going to be here for 2.5 minutes before we switch sides. Slowly lengthening the time in these postures. Can you feel your 2 sitting bones, left and right, grounding? 2 shoulders, left and right, relaxing. Making sure that the support under your elbow that's bent is high or low enough that you're not feeling any strain in your neck, but you are feeling a nice opening in the side body that's facing the sky. What sensations might be coming up for you as we're here just less than a minute more. Knowing the difference between physical discomfort as opposed to injurious pain, can you lean into any discomfort with a sense of curiosity and kindness? So we're not pushing, but gently listening. As you draw your lower belly in, gently begin to lift your torso. Come on upright and just bring your 2 feet in front of you, bending your knees. We'll just circle the spine before we switch sides. So inhale, spine forward. Exhale, circle it back. Switch directions. Straighten the opposite leg out to its side. Take your tower of pillows or blocks to the outside of that straight leg. Bend the opposite knee so the heel is just about in front of your pelvis. Plug down your sitting bones, lift up both sides of your torso, left and right. And then start to side bend towards the pillows so that you're resting your bent elbow on it. Your skull's resting on your hands, like you're posing for a picture. And then raise your opposite arm overhead. Feel the lengthening of that side body that's facing the sky. But can you root the sitting bone down on that side as you drop your arm to rest on your head? Feeling a deep breath in. Setting our timer here for 2.5 minutes. Do you notice any sort of compensation happening on either side of your body when you're in asymmetrical poses? Rather than as a means to judge your body or yourself, what information might you extract from that, if so? Back to the breath. few last breaths here. So gently begin to lift your torso upright. Extending your legs in front of you. Roll out your feet at your ankles. Give them some circles in both directions. You may want to grab a blanket or pillow to sit on. We're going to come into Gomukhasana legs, where we crisscross the thighs. Start with, as I mirror you, your left leg straight forward. Take your right thigh to cross over your left thigh as you bend the knee, stacking above the knee underneath as much as you can. Now, if you're rounding forward, you can elevate your pelvis on a prop. See if it works out to bend the bottom knee too, so that you split your feet apart. If it throws you off balance, you can just re-straighten the leg underneath. Maybe moving the flesh aside from your sitting bones. You can root down more stably with the hands alongside your hips, lifting up through the center of your spine. Pause a few breaths to really feel that rebound effect, the energetic rebound of pressing downward to create space between the base of your spine and your crown. Breathe into that space and let it lengthen with each breath. Shoulders softening, face relaxed. We're about to come into a spinal twist, but before doing that, you just want to get as much length to twist from. Inhale, raise your left arm if your right leg is on top. And then exhale, turn your chest to the right. Now, for less of a twist, you can lower your hand on your shin that's on top and just use it to hold on to. The hand behind you can walk further behind if you like. If you're seeking more leverage to deepen the twist, you can press the back of your left arm against your right thigh. Maybe even using your left hand to hold on to your bottom calf. You might even rotate the head, gently twisting at your neck. I'm going to set the timer here, 3 minutes before we switch. And I'm going to invite you into a visualization as we hold still in this posture, in this asana. Bring your mind's eye, perhaps your physical eyes are closed. Bring your mind's eye to the bottom of your spine. As you take a slow inhale, climb your attention up each vertebra. Feel it lifting to the top of your head. And then as you exhale, spiraling your torso further, see the breath release down each vertebra from the crown of your head to the base of your spine. Inhaling up the spine. Exhaling down the spine. Becoming a little more specific in our visualization, inhale the front of your spine from bottom up. Feel each vertebra being touched by your breath on the front side. And then exhale down the back of your spine, from the back of the skull, back of the neck, all the way down to your sacrum. Inhale up the front of your spine, going up. Exhale down the back of your spine. And start to unwind from the twist. Uncross your legs. Set a pillow or block in between your thighs. We're gonna briefly come into a forward fold before we switch sides. You can make sort of a V shape of your legs, not so wide apart between the feet. Perhaps even place a block for your skull, your forehead. And then ground your sitting bones, lift your chest. We're gonna be for just a minute before we switch sides in the twist. Lifting your spine and then folding forward for 1 minute. Resting your hands wherever you like. One more deep breath. We're going to come back to a forward fold for a longer hold after the second one. But for now, press your hands into the ground, lead with your chest, and inhale, slowly rise up. Take a moment to roll out your shoulders or gently turn your head. Let's put the pillow aside. Straightening your left leg forward. This time cross your, that's the same side. Straightening your right leg forward, cross your left thigh over to stack your knees as much as you can. Perhaps sitting on a prop here to help your spine be upright. You might explore bending the bottom knee too, so that you splay your feet apart. Grounding your two sitting bones with your hands alongside your hips. Pause for a few breaths and just feel into pressing downward to lift upward. Literally rooting down to rise. Cultivate a lightness in your neck and shoulders and your chest. Bring a feeling tone of spaciousness throughout your spine, your neck, even up to your crown. Now with your left leg on top, inhale, raise your right arm. Exhale, twist a little bit to face your left side. You could either lower that hand on your knee or your shin that's on top. You could also walk the left hand further behind your pelvis if you want to reach a little deeper into the twist. You could cross your right arm against your outer left thigh, perhaps catching hold of the ankle or calf with your right hand. Continue to melt your shoulders down as you're lifting your sternum, lifting through the back of your skull, perhaps rotating your head into a gentle twist at your neck too. We're here for 3 minutes. And to balance out the practice, you might go into that visualization with your breath again, inhaling from the base of your spine, slowly up to the top of your head. Exhaling from your crown, slowly down to the root. And then adding on, if you're visualizing with the breath, inhaling from the base up the front of your spine, being more specific, front of the neck, crown of the head, exhaling down the back of your spine. Feel it travel down the back of your neck, down to your sacrum, Gently begin to unwind from your twist. Uncross your legs. Softly roll out your shoulders. Perhaps gently circle your head. Go in both directions, rolling or circling. So for this next posture that we're going to hold for 4 minutes as we're climbing up the ladder of time, of holds, I invite you to choose from 2 hip opening postures. The first choice is sort of a V shape, a wider V shape, a version of Upavishta Konasana, and putting a stack of pillows, maybe blanket, maybe something a little higher for your forehead to bear hug and fold into. In this position, you want your knees to point up, your toes to point up, so it might help to gently flex your feet so that your knees don't roll forward. The other option is to keep a pillow to straddle, but coming into frog pose. You may need to use a blanket for some cushion for your inner knees. You could open up that blanket so that it's wide enough to be the width of splaying your knees apart on the floor. Giving your inner knees enough cushion so that you can be there for those 4 minutes. So choice A or choice B. Coming into frog pose, I believe that word is actually manduka in Sanskrit. We're just talking about that yoga mat. So you want to splay out your thighs to bend your knees 90 degrees, right angles. The knees and the toes are turned out in the same degree. You could also straddle right at your inner pelvis, that pillow, to give you some support, so it's sort of a restful hold. You want to align your knees with your pelvis, so your pelvis is not forward of your knees nor behind your knees. I'm going to go ahead and set the timer now for 4 minutes, either one of these 2 postures. So as you might still be situating yourself in the pose, look for symmetry in your left and right sides and how you're supporting that with any props needed. Feel your 2 shoulders, both sides of your neck. Relax your 2 arms, your hands. Observe down both sides of your torso into your hips. And because this is more of a symmetrical pose, we're not doing one side at a time. If one side, left or right, feels a little tighter, can you support both sides of your hips with the same amount as the tighter side? Come back to your breathing. Using the skillful breathing, your skillful breathing, to empower your ability to stay present and to stay in the stillness, even when it might bring a little discomfort. Sometimes the only way out is through. But again, we're not looking to force or to push, but we're practicing the yin of allowing, the yin of surrendering, giving up resistance. Feel that your body is open to less prop support, like in your inner thighs. You can adjust your pose to take you a little deeper if you like. Give yourself a few breaths to gently ease out of this pose. If you are in frog, come into child's pose so you're still oriented in the same direction, but you're sliding back away from the pillow that you might be straddling to bring the feet together, and perhaps resting your forehead at the edge of that pillow. Otherwise, if you're in Upavishta Konasana variation, you're lifting your spine upright so that you can sit, and maybe taking your hands to your outer thighs to gently bring your legs closer together, bending the knees up. Maybe rotating your thighs inward and outward a few times, like pigeon toe, and then turn out from the hip sockets. And for those of you that were coming out of frog pose into child's pose, slowly lift your spine upright. If you have a strap, please put it off to the side near the back of your mat. Grab a pillow or a yoga block that you'll use to elevate your sacrum on for a supported bridge pose, a restorative bridge pose. So you may want to even use 2 blocks stacked. So as you come to lie down on your back, pressing your feet onto the floor, take 1 or 2 blocks or pillows, slide them across your mat underneath the flat part of your lower back. We're going to keep the feet on the floor in this pose, so make sure that you feel comfortably supported, and then you could use another block if you like. If you want to go a little higher, feel it out. We're going to be here for 5 minutes. So make sure that you are comfortable in this positioning, the way you're supporting your body. You've already set the timer. So here you could opt to keep your feet about hips width, your knees hips width, so your thighs are parallel, or you could separate the feet a little wider than hips width and let your knees drop in together if they will. The latter helps to gently broaden your sacrum, give your lower back a widening stretch. Now, I invite you to raise your arms overhead. Palms are facing each other, and to walk your shoulder blades down your back ribs. Tilt your chin slightly away from your chest so that your throat is open, breath is free. And then with your hands, catch hold of opposite bent elbows overhead. So here, shoulder blades moving down your back. Breathe from the pit of your belly, up your lungs, wide across your chest, encouraging a gentle rise at your heart center. Feel the exhalation softening your belly back down towards your spine. So those of you that are adding the arm variation to help open the shoulders a bit, we'll switch the cross of the elbows about halfway through. I'm watching the time. Breathe into the pit of your belly. Visualize perhaps filling up from lower lungs to top of lungs, broadening the chest, heart space. And then feeling the exhale, soften the belly towards your spine. If you're holding opposite elbows, uncross your arms and switch the opposite elbow on. And then again, feel your shoulders melt down away from your neck, down away from your ears. Chin slightly tilting back. Few last breaths here. Uncrossing your arms, bring your feet about hips width apart if they're not already. And then lifting your pelvis. If you have more than one prop underneath, maybe remove one at a time and just pause in between each. So you're gradually releasing your spine. And then once your pelvis is completely on the ground, bend your right knee into your chest. Extend your left leg forward onto the floor. Take the strap, wrap the ball of your right foot into the strap, and extend your right leg up towards the sky. Now holding the strap with only your left hand, bring your right thumb to the outer crease of your right hip. Gently press that outer right hip away from your right armpit towards the front edge of your mat, towards your left foot. Now sickling your right foot, turn the sole to face your left wall, just turning from the ankle. And we're not going to go fully into the twist. In fact, we're just going to be here for 5 breaths. Cross your right leg over your body just 1/3 of your range, and that's all we're going to go. Staying there for 5 breaths, grounding both shoulders. This is more for the IT band. And you might feel a release for the lower back. Well, you'll feel it where your body is probably needing to feel something open up. One more. Let's take a deep breath. Sigh it out through your mouth. Come back to your center. Undo your right leg. Lower it onto the floor. Bend your left knee into your chest. This is just our finishing pose before Shavasana. Step the ball of your left foot into the strap. Left leg straight up. Hold the strap in right hand. Use your left thumb. Hook the outer crease of your left hip. Tack it forward towards your right inner heel. Sickle your left foot at the ankle so the sole faces your right wall. And cross your left leg to the right, just 1/3 of your twisting range, and then pause there and breathe. Both shoulders grounded. And deep inhale, making any sound to your mouth, let it go. Come back to your center, hug your bent knees into your chest. Maybe a gentle rock in any direction. Maybe lifting head and shoulders, squeezing in tight. Take a deep breath in. Make it as loud as you like. Exhale through the mouth. Grab whatever props you may need for a comfortable Shavasana. Perhaps pillows under the backs of your knees, blanket over your whole body, something to cover your eyes, maybe something to lift your chest. Shavasana, the ultimate stillness. And as Judith Lassiter mentioned, can we use these still moments as a background, a backdrop, to observe what may fluctuate in our mind through thought form? staying a little longer here, the chant you're hearing means, may all beings be happy and free, and may I contribute to their freedom. Loka samasta sukhinu bhavantu. If you'd like to stay longer in Shavasana, feel free to stay. If you'd like to sit up for 5 minutes in meditation, then allow your body to gently move out of stillness, easing up to find a comfortable seat. Setting the timer here for 5 minutes. Gently deepening your breath, bring your awareness back to your body. Maybe bringing your palms to meet at your heart, closing the practice together like we set our intentions with one chant of Om. Take a deep breath in. Om. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.